when we talk about our capabilities of being able to forecast upturns, downturns, and being flat, from running a business, I mean, you ran a consultancy. Do you find value in a tool that says, hey, if the same thing happens for the next 18 months, and you're talking about this type of incremental increase through those 18 months, then this is kind of your flow and this is kind of your expense model. And if somehow or another everybody figures out that there's about $9 to $12 trillion in quantitative easing still lurking around the market, and they decide to revalue the stock market and things take a decided downturn path, by the way, here's your expenses and here's your outlook. I mean, do you find that useful? Not trying to predict the future, but hey, if this happens in the future, this is your reality.
Yeah, I think that's unbelievably useful. I draw a real distinction between knowing where the economy will go, which I think is essentially close to impossible, versus, look, we know the places the economy might go. I mean, I got a pretty good idea of the worst case and the best case scenarios, and I can put some probabilities on that maybe. And then understanding what the implications are for me when it comes to investment or hiring or how to act quickly when something goes wrong. I think that's incredibly valuable. That to me seems to be one of the fundamental roles of management in any firm, is thinking ahead about what the possibilities are. And one dimension is economics, another dimension is competitors, right? So, if you're in a business and you start thinking, well, what if one of my competitors is able to cut prices by 30% for what they charge, right? Look, what implication will that have for my business, and am I able to follow? I think It's obviously there's one thing we know for sure is that when you're caught off guard, you never can react as well as if you've had time to prep for it, right? So the things you understand about, say, a pandemic 3 months into it are so much different than what you understand on the first day. And it sounds to me like what you're trying to do is take a set of tools that allow you to essentially simulate different versions of the world, so you can imagine them. People don't have very good imaginations. It's really hard for people to imagine, absent concrete scenarios, what kind of problems they'd be facing. And if you're talking about, which I think you are, say, hey, we'll give you 5 different scenarios, and you can think about how to deal with each of those. You'd be much better equipped. I think that's a great tool.
Yeah, I think you're right, and having quantifiable outcomes if you make certain decisions is very helpful. I know when we did COVID planning in early March, we basically had a decision tree, and we knew for every decision what the cost savings would be, and then we matched those with different tier client buckets. If we lost a client in tier 1, then we're going to make these decisions. If we lost more than one, we're going to make these decisions, right? And that way we had less emotional, more quantifiable. If we're going to stay solvent and in the black, if this happens, then we need to do this. And that kind of modeling took us a week, right? I mean, to really kind of work through what certain things you cut and it really doesn't help. Certain things are cash, certain things are just fantasies on your balance sheet. It doesn't really help so those bespoke models is what we need to get away from, and we need to get into tools that can say, hey, just as you put it, here's the likely best case scenario for the next 12 months. Here's the worst case scenario. Yeah, we look bad, but that's probably our floor. And here's the likely scenario somewhere in the middle that looks a lot like what we've been doing. And here's your major drivers of expense in a quantifiable fashion and major drivers of revenue, so that if we do go down this unhappy path, you can rapidly know what are the levers I can pull to keep EBITDA flat.
Yeah, that sounds invaluable to me.
Cool.